Hello again, everybody. It's Monster Forge, and I'm here with the Transformers Studio Series Kranix. This is from the original 1986 Transformers movie. And I gotta tell you, I have wanted this figure ever since the movie came out. I went to see the movie in the theater. My brother took me when I was a kid. I went to see the movie, watching Optimus Prime die kind of killed me a little bit. And then seeing Kranix die killed me too. Because I like this guy. He's not in the movie much, but like he's the first character, or one of the first characters you're introduced to in the movie when Unicron comes to devour the planet Lithon. And Kranix is one of the people there. They're said to be like he's the last survivor of Lithon at one point in the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, spoilers, the planet Lithon is devoured, and Kranix and Arbalest are they're co-workers, friends, brothers, never really goes into it. There's a lot of stuff written about him in the extended Transformers stuff, which, okay. But I don't really know what of that stuff to follow, like, oh, it's the canonical thing. I don't really care about that with Transformers. To me, like, I don't play with Transformers anymore. I do like to transform them and pose them and all, but I just don't play with them. But I do think about them a lot and, like, come up with, stories in my head. And so in my mind, I always thought of him different, or, my own way. But anyway, it's crazy. Blah, 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 blah. Let's take a look at the package first. Beautiful package. I really do like the way the redesigns have done of the newer stuff from Hasbro. Not crazy about the prices. That's why you won't see me reviewing actual Hasbro figures much anymore. They're just kind of pricing themselves out of my range. This figure, I don't have a, wait a minute, I do have a ruler, hold on. Figure stands right under, like you can't really see it from the angle I have here. It's a little under 5.5 inches. Whoa, and he falls pretty good too. I guess, if he's 5.5, then, Skeletor, if he was in his squatty mode, the Origin Skeletor, they would be, because the old Masters of the Universe figures, they were 5.5 figures. But to do that, you have to kind of squat them down a little bit. So they're like the old style they were in. And yeah, you can see that's 5.5. But these are now creeping up on $30 a piece. And I'm not rich. I'll say that right out. I'm just a normal working guy, and I have other priorities and stuff. I do collect a lot, but they're just getting to the point where I'm not able to afford a lot of them. But, as things improve, hopefully, going forward, maybe that'll be something that's a little bit easier on the wallet. I don't know. One way or the other. I buy a lot of stuff from AliExpress because the Hasbro stuff is just, it's getting up there. When a Voyager is now $43 and a deluxe is, and a small deluxe at that, is, I think he was like 27.86 or something like that at Walmart. Yeah, so basically almost $28. $2 away from being 30. It does make collecting a lot of these guys tough. And that varies by, what your income is. I'm not a rich guy. But anyway, enough about that. Blah, 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 blah. To me, this one was worth it. Because, first of all, I'm a spoiler here. this is a great figure, and I'm absolutely happy I got it. Okay, so getting back to the actual looking at this, you get a great portrait of Kranix here, and like he's always been such a, oh, my head's in the picture. Kranix has always been one of my favorite characters from Transformers. He had such a great presence. I thought of him as like kind of like a gentleman, a very, I don't know. I hated to see him die. Spoiler alert, he dies. I hated to see him die in the movie because like we only introduced him for a few minutes and then he's gone. But you see here he transforms into a spacecraft, and that was never seen in the Transformers movie, the 86 movie, the animated one. This is based on something else, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you get his gun there, which even the gun comes from the design that I'll talk about in a minute. Studio Series Deluxe Class Kranix. And you get a better look at that portrait right there. Really nice. And there's a picture of him there, and it says, Kranix encounters Hot Rod and Cup after they are captured by the Quintessons. And then they say it again in a lot of languages. But yeah, if you've seen the Transformers movie, and I hope you have, and if you haven't, you should. I hear there's like they're putting it back in theaters for the anniversary. That would be nice. I saw it in the theater a few years ago, again, and it was nice. But Transformers the movie is still to this day one of my favorite movies. I've watched it so many times, and like when I'm working, I'll put it on in the background and just listen to it because the lines from it and the voices are so good. And it's just a good movie. It was like, it kind of rocked us kids' world because Transformers, the cartoon, was really fun, you know? Like the Decepticons weren't really scary. They were just kind of like the bad guys that the good guys fought. But with the movie, everything got serious all of a sudden, and within like, you know, like a 10-minute period in the movie, most of your favorite characters from the original Transformers got killed in a brutal way. So it was like, that movie manned me up. I was a kid going in to see the movie, and I came out like I had like a mortgage. Anyway, so that's the packaging, really nice. I don't care about packaging. I care about this guy because he is a cool figure. Now, Kranix is described as being a friar warrior. So sort of like a warrior monk type character. He's a very, what am I looking for? Very distinguished character. And in the movie, he first shows up, he's carrying a tray of chemicals, you know, in beakers and stuff to a scientist on the planet Lithon. And what's really cool is they kind of introduce you to the planet Lithon and life on Lithon. They're like Cybertronians. They're robots that they're sentient. They're very like tied to emotions and stuff like that. So they're probably, it's been described that they're probably closer to humans than they are actually Cybertronians. And I like that. Like, I always liked Kranix and Arbalest, and I like that culture that you get to see for just a minute before Galvatron, not Galvatron, Unicron comes and just eats everything. But this figure is perfect. Like, the paint on it is perfect. The sculpt is perfect to me. I love everything about it. It's well designed. The articulation is super nice. It's just cool, man. And let's take a look at, you know, the details on it. He has, I'll get this light over here so I can see it better. See, he has a distinguished gentleman face. He has a little goatee, and he has a nice little mustache. And his eyes are green, which match the cartoon. And he's got the two-toned crest on his head. And careful fans of Transformers will recognize that in season was it season 3 or 4? It's the season that came after the movie. They used this head design for some of the Junkion females, which is kind of how they did stuff, just kind of reuse stuff. But Kranix himself was designed by Floro Derry. And I want to say, I think Derry was, I think he was Filipino. I'm not sure, but I love his artwork. I could be wrong about that nationality. I'm horrible with that, but it seems like when I read something years ago that he was Filipino, but I could be completely wrong about that. Feel free to correct me in the comments. That's always fun to read. No joke there. I do love reading the comments you guys leave. But anyway, Floro Derry designed him, and Floro Derry's designs, if you ever get a chance to look up the designs of the Transformers from the movie, they look so technical. And like he designed the characters that he designed weren't, like your regular Autobots, unless he designed, I'm not sure if he designed Cup and Hot Rod. He might have, and all of the new guys. He might have designed them because they all have like a similar aesthetic. They look like alien vehicles, like super futuristic vehicles, but they all have kind of similar design elements to them, and I really like that. But anyway, Kranix here is painted perfectly. He looks just like the animation model. And all the details are there. He's got his little kind of talon feet. He's got the boxy legs that are curved. That was one thing that Floro Derry really liked to design into his character designs, was this curviness and these little tiered sections here like this. So good. And the way he did the articulation points on the figures, he did a lot of round things. So they look sort of like classic robots, but he did them in such a way that they were also very stylish and futuristic. And I love it. Kind of organic. Not in this version. If you look at the original designs that he did, well, first of all, Kranix was, the characters of Lithone were actually supposed to be like rock characters. They were like living stone characters. And I don't know if it was because of I'm not as much of a movie buff as far as like times of movies. I don't know if that was because the Rock Lords had come out or was going to come out, but they switched them from being rock characters to the robot characters. They're supposed to be robots that were made out of stone, and his name was actually supposed to be Kranix, like granite. Get it? But they and Arbalest was supposed to be supposed to be based on marble, so his name might have been Marbalest. And Lithone was probably from like lithic or lithus, or I'm not sure what the Greek or the Latin root of that is, but it's stone. So all of that tied together for these to be in stone characters. But they changed that, and I like the designs of the stone character. He was a little bit beefier, and he had like, he was looked like he had like kind of fire inside of him. Not really sure why Granite would be that way. Maybe I don't know something about Granite, but yeah, he was more like a warrior. And his description in the official like Transformers handbook and all listed him as a friar warrior. So he was like a fighter, and said that he knew a lot of forms of combat. He just didn't get to see it because in the movie, he has to escape Unicron, because I don't think he can kick Unicron in the face or anything. And when he gets to the planet, to Quintessa, he's immediately apprehended by a bunch of big robot monsters. So he didn't really, I guess he put up a fight when he got there, but by the time that Hot Rod and Cup ran into him, he was already in prison. But I have my own headcanon about that. But anyway, figure looks great. He has all the details. Like I was looking when I got him, I went back and looked at like screenshots and stuff from the movie, and every detail is here represented from the movie. Like these little vents here on the back and these right here, they were in the original design. So like when he falls down the into the pit where the Sharkticons are, you can see these things on his back. And just other little details that are there, like this little detail, little door looking thing. It's just awesome. I'm gushing about this guy because this is a toy that I've wanted for so long, and I finally have it, and I love it. And he is the most accurate version, other than some people that have done some 3D printed figures. But anyway, let's take a look at the articulation. You guys are probably just like, would you please shut up about how much you love this character? Anyway, he has a hinge, so his head can look all the way up. So you can have him flying through space like a guy if you want to. And also, part of his transformation, you can have him going, ha ha! But that's not how he usually is. His mouth is actually, if you look, his mouth is actually sculpted right here. This is just part of the transformation right here when he turns into his spaceship mode. He has a rotating neck, so there's no ball joint, but he does have the ability to look up and kind of down. He has hinges out to the sides like this. He has full rotation on the shoulder joints, and if you want to have him shooting, you have to put the shoulder joint up and move it this way, and nothing's in focus. You have to put it this way and bring it that way, and then you can turn his bicep joint, which he has. That's another point of articulation for him. He has a bicep joint that goes all the way around. He has a elbow joint that comes all the way up, so you can recreate the scene where he's just absolutely ticked off at the Cybertronian, the Quintesson judge, and he's like, "Wah!" So this is a mockery of justice, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, he's got elbow articulation all the way up. That's way over 90 degrees. No articulation at the wrist other than he can kind of go down like that, but that's a transformation joint. He has, almost lost it. He has his little gun. That's his only accessory he comes with, but that's all he needs, because he didn't even have that accessory in the movie. That's more the design that was originally made. I think Fluoro Dairy did design a vehicle mode for him, because I think that originally was how they were going to escape. He was going to transform and get away from Unicron, but I know that part was used. I think there's a script out there that has that part in it where he transforms and gets away instead of them getting on the spaceship. And the Marvel Comics actually has the scene. And it's like, as Unicron is coming to eat Lithone, this toxic gas, like it's like an acidic gas, comes out, and that kills Arbalest. But Kranix turns into his spaceship mode and flies away, and then he's captured on Quintessa. Wait a minute, not Quintessa. Yeah, it was Quintessa. I was thinking about Planet of Junk, but that was a different crew. All right, back to articulation. The waist can swivel all the way around. His hips can go forward way far, like super far. They can go back super far. They go completely out to the side, so he can split all day long. He has a knee joint that's right at 90 degrees, but it also comes forward. So, you know, if you want to get all crazy, you can have him do the chicken walker thing, but he's just going to fall over. He also has a swivel joint right above the knee. And he has also he has a little ball joint. You can see it. You can't see anything if I'm not showing you. He has a ball joint inside the little booster thing in his foot. And he has a slight tilt. It's not very far. And it can go back and forward a very little bit. But he can still, he can still pull off a pose. There's enough of that to the side to sides to have him, with a stance like that. Cool. So, that's the figure. Looks great. Poses great. Let's turn him into a spaceship. Now, it's a really cool transformation. He winds up not exactly looking like this. This is more what the original design in the comic book and in Floro Derry's design. It's more streamlined. This version is, a lot of the times whenever people are designing and engineering a transformer, they have to make the robot look like a vehicle that's specific. But when you're doing like Cybertronian or space stuff, you can make the spaceship version look however you want. I mean, you can just have like, oh, he's a spaceship. Look at that. He's going through space. And I did a review of the, not too long ago, of those Glory Alliance figures, and the Perda one. Like he's just basically, oh, I'm a spaceship now. Woo! And I didn't care because he's a spaceship. Who's to say what they look like? But with this one, they had to work. I think it was more important to make him in robot mode look more accurate, because the bulk of the time you see him in the movie, all of the movie, he's in robot mode. Like, you don't ever know if he transforms or not. But because they knew people wanted this, people that were fans of Kranix, they had to get a vehicle mode out of it. And you can see there's some discrepancies between that image and this image. And it's because this was, a lot of times the vehicle is the thing that rules out. Like if you have Optimus Prime has to transform into a truck. In particular, a cab-over rig. Peterbilt or Mack, I'm not really sure. Maybe he's a Kenworth, whatever. But he has to look like a specific vehicle. So you have to engineer a robot, and engineering they did with the 86 Commander class Optimus Prime. Beautiful transformation on that thing, where he looks like a truck and he looks just like the cartoon. The latest Masterpiece does the same thing. But the specific thing it was supposed to look like was the vehicle. Like, that's the unmistakable. And you have to kind of, with the old G1 stuff, they cut a lot of corners to get the robot. So you had some strange looking robots. Looking at you, Brawn. The G1 Brawn had a crazy looking design. So first of all, take his gun. If it's in his hand, we take it out. Duh. And we begin transformation. And one thing is he looks up and he goes, ah! And let me make sure I got this all in focus. And then you would take this is just the way I do it, the order I do the things. You flip this down, and it allows you to bring out, and it comes out like an accordion, this part right here. And you could have some fun with this, and, you could say he's beaky ostrich robot. Whatever, I'm crazy. But you close this back up, and this will come up, and it will actually tab into the head, up into his mouth, and you can hear it click. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but yeah, it clicks in there. And now he's the silliest duck transformer. I'm just full of crap today. Anyway, so that's done. The front of the ship is done. Oh, look, it's his Gerduck mode. I hate myself. Anyway, so now what you would do is I like to get the arms all sorted first. You turn his arms out to the side, and I think this might be the way the instructions have it in order. But anyway, you bring them up all the way like this, and you flip out these little panels, which will become wings, and you take these panels here that are inside of the wrist, and you just you flip them out like this and kind of get them out of the way. And then you can fold the wrists, you can fold the hands inside of that. And you just put these up like so and leave them there for a minute, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start working on the back section. You fold the backs of the legs up. It's like these little panels, they fold up, and that will be the main back fin. Turn the heels out, because this is actually part of the design from the original character design. Now you take you can see there's like a gap in here now. This will go down into there, and you bring the knees up. So if you see it again, let me make sure I'm focused on that so you can see it. You fold that down in there and then hinge the whole thing up, so it kind of goes up like this, and it just folds in, and it stays in there like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Now, before you combine these two pieces, because it's like, oh, I combined that. No. There's actually this panel right here on the back, the really cool design with the vents or whatever. It comes loose from here and down here, and it's on a little hinge, like a double hinge deal in there. And you bring that all the way down between the legs, and you'll see there's like a little gap in there. Let's see. There's a little gap right there, and you will bring that down and put that tab into that spot, and same on this side. And so then you can combine the actual little wingy dingy thing there in the back. And we're not done with the legs yet, because then there are two panels that flip down, and you've got more little stabilizer fins. Okay, so now what you do is there is a hinge, like where the shoulder is, there's an extra hinge that's on the inside of the chest. And you bring that all the way back, and this is a scary part, because this hinge right here, to get this part to where you need it, it has to fold down, and it's really tight, and it has like a little lump it has to go over. So just you're gonna think you're breaking it, but it and I break it. No, it will actually there, and it fits down, and you can see there's that's it right there, and you can see it matches the shape of it when you pull it down like that. And you do the same thing on this side, bring this out, and you straighten that joint out. Because what that's going to do then is, you see these round parts that were his hips, this will actually fit onto that. Let's see if I got it right. Yeah, that'll actually fit onto that. Yeah, it should fit. There we go. You can they actually tab in there, like kind of slide in. And then you take these little panels here, and see, do I have it all the way? I think I do. I think I have it right. Yeah, they will actually, there's a little slot. Let's see if I can get it in the light. There's a little slot right underneath this lip, and it will go right here. So you take this, and when you get it to clip in right, you've got everything lined up right. And that's his vehicle mode almost. Remember how I mentioned this gun he never used in the movie? Well, the actual design from the original design, that gun is right there in the drawings and stuff. So that is his vehicle space crafty mode. And a lot of people have laughed about this thing, and it is kind of funny looking, but you know what? It's an alien spaceship. Don't judge. It doesn't look exactly like the original, you know, drawings of the design, but it's close enough. And honestly, to have the figure that looks so much like the cartoon design transform into something like this was pretty cool. I think they did a good job. The only way they could have made it any better was to have way more parts moving and stuff like that, and then you would have paid, you know, Voyager price for a little guy like this. But I like it. I like swooshing it around and imagine him getting away from Unicron that way, even though he didn't in the movie. But that's the review of this guy. I would highly recommend picking him up. He's a smooth little dude, and he's fun to transform, even though there's some harrowing bits like that to get the part out of there. But you can, and here's a little tip. Whenever you transform him back into the robot, sometimes the wrists don't want to come out so much, so just take the gun, put it in there. And that works for a lot of Transformers too. If you can't get a part out that's got like the hands, just use the gun. You can even take the handle of the gun and plug it into the figure's hand and then whoop, pull it out. Because a lot of times the figures will have like a little tab thing. Like if you have it in there, you can pull it out like that. But sometimes they don't, it doesn't work so well. But anyway, you fold that up and fold that up. And yeah, you take the legs apart and bring the back panel back up. One thing I like about this is how flush everything fits on him in the robot mode. You bring the knees back out like this. You can close this panel, and this panel will actually, there's a little slot for this tab, and it'll fit in there, and it holds pretty well. And you can fold this up. And the crazy thing is, this is done so well. It's a little bit different colored plastic. Not sure why, because it's both pieces of plastic. But I didn't even notice this thing until I was reading the instructions. Because like I had this thing out for like an hour or two when I first got it, just posing him and stuff like that, because I love the character so much. Duh. And I didn't even notice this panel. I was just too in awe of the character that they managed to pull off. But you bring the ostrich head down and in there, and it folds up like that. This plugs back in, and the arms tuck, or these arms that the shoulders are on tuck back in, and you pull out. Come on. This is kind of tricky sometimes because it fits so flush against there. It's kind of tricky to get it back out. Pull that back up, and you've got Kranix. And I would say, even if you don't care for the vehicle mode that he turns into, or don't consider it canon because he never did in the movie, this figure is great to have in your collection. And you know, I just had to show, you know, according to canon, the only Cybertronians he ever met were Cup and Hot Rod before his untimely death at the hands of the Sharkticons. And come on, his knees are always funny. Yeah, these were definitely Floro Dairy designs too. Like they have some of the same like design theory to them, to making the alien robots. If you hear anything in the background, it's a storm. We needed the rain. But yeah, they look so good together. And I like recreating the little scenes from the movie. And, you know, it would be nice to have like a jail cell wall between the two of them so he can tell them about Unicron. And that's the review of the figure. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I view Kranix, but if you know, stick around for that if you want to. If not, that was the review. The review is he is awesome. You should buy him even at the price. If you can get him for a better price, get him. But I think he's worth it to me because I've wanted this character so long. but I'm rambling. But anyway, for those of you guys that just wanted to see the review of it, I'll catch you in the next video. But here's my deal with Kranix. Go. Kranix to me is such a cool character that I didn't want him to die. So in my head canon, you know, the way I view it in my head and the stories I have in my head, when he fell into the Sharkticon pit, he was the last survivor of Lithon, but he was still going to survive, because if you remember, his description was that he was a warrior. So it looked like whenever the Sharkticons got down there and started tearing him apart, he fought back, and somehow he slipped into a tear in the pit of the Sharkticons pit down there. Like he felt like sucked in by the water and all. And then he found an out. And so he eventually made his way out. The Autobots had already, you know, by the time he got out of there, the Autobots had already, and this, like I said, this is just my fanfic headcanon for having this figure in my collection. He got out. The events of the Transformers movie, you know, where they defeated Unicron at the end, he never got to see any of that. But what he did was, once he got out of the vents in the Quintesson fortress or whatever, he transformed into his spaceship and went out into deep space, because he was trying to get as far away from Unicron as he could. And he knew that he carried the last, you know, thoughts and dreams and hopes of his people with him, and he didn't want that to die out. So he has become not just a warrior, but a survivalist. And he's in deep space. And in my headcanon, while he was roaming around in deep space, he ran into this guy, Devcon. And the two of them started working together. And they're a team now. And they're in deep space doing stuff. He recognized the Autobot symbol on him, and he says, "Hey, you're a good guy." And Devcon was like, whatever. And, you know, let's go capture some Decepticons for revenge. And so, yeah, that's the team. That's the buddy, the good cop, bad cop team of Kranix and Devcon. And that makes me happier than, I don't know, eating ice cream. But anyway, that was me rambling on about Kranix for a while. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, and tell me I'm stupid. I don't care. Comments help engagement. So do thumbs down. I mean, it's not really good to get a thumbs down, because that kind of hurts. But if you don't like it, you don't like it. But anyway, have fun. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Later on, guys.